Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so in this session we will discuss the relationship between the zeros and the coefficient of the polynomial. In the previous video, we know about how to find out zeros of the polynomial and also coefficient of the polynomial. So polynomials, there is two type of polynomial, linear polynomial and quadratic polynomial. There is different kind of polynomial, and we are going to discuss linear polynomial and quadratic polynomial. So if I take a linear polynomial, like the standard form of linear polynomial is ax plus b equals to 0. So how to find out the roots of the linear polynomial? So means we have to basically find out the value of x. So ax equals to, you can write minus b, and that is why x equals to what? Minus b by a. So this is the root of the polynomial, and minus b is what? Minus b is the constant term. Minus b is constant term. Constant term. Okay. By a. A is what? Coefficient of x. What is coefficient of x? So this is the root, and you can say zeros, and we can find out one relationship. What is the relationship? B is what? This is constant term here, and a is what? This is coefficient of x. That is how we can establish the zeros of the polynomial and the coefficient of the polynomial. Okay, so if I take another example of linear polynomial, we can write 5x plus 2 equals to 0. So we can find out the zeros of the polynomial without calculating the value of x. How? Like this is the formula. Minus of constant term means 2 is here, 2, and coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of x? 5. So 5. So that means we find out the zeros of this polynomial is x equals to minus 2 by 5 without calculating x. Okay, by this relationship of zeros of polynomial and coefficient of the polynomial. In the case of quadratic equation, we find out zeros of the polynomial by middle term factor. So to find out zeros of the polynomial, we have to find zeros of polynomial. So let us take a quadratic equation. 3x square minus x minus 2 equals to 0. So let us find out the zeros of the polynomial. 3x square, here middle term is 1, we have to adjust 3 to the 6, 3 into 2, 6, and we have to adjust middle term 1. So that's why 3 minus 2 is 1, minus 2 equals to 0. So 3x square minus 3x and minus minus plus 2x minus 2 equals to 0. So if I take common from these two terms, we get 3x into 3x minus, sorry, this is x only, x minus 1. If I take 2 from these two terms, we get x minus 1 equals to 0. So we get here x minus 1 into 3x plus 2 equals to 0. So if we find 0, we get 1, and from here 2 by 3. Okay, so zeros of the polynomial is 1 and minus 2 by 3. So now we have to find out sum of the zeros. So sum of the zeros means what? Sum of zeros equals to 1 plus minus 2 by 3. So what we get? 3 1 is 3 minus 2 by 3, that is 1 by 3. So what is 1? What is 1? 1 is, so we can write it 1 by 3, we can write it also minus of minus 1 by 3. Why we write this one? because there is 1, we adjust it minus minus plus. What is minus 1? Minus 1 is the coefficient of x. So we can write down this is minus 1 means coefficient of x. And what is 3? 3 is the coefficient of x square. Coefficient of x square. And if I find out product of the zeros, you find out 1 into minus 2 by 3. And that is what? Minus 2 by 3. Minus 2 is what? Constant term. So, this is constant term by, what is 3? 3 is the coefficient of x square. Coefficient of x square. So, sum of zeros means what? Sum of zeros is equal to, you can write coefficient of x by minus of coefficient of x by coefficient of x square, and product of zeros equals to, you can write constant term by coefficient of x square. So this is the relationship between zeros of polynomial and coefficient of polynomial. Okay, so this is the zeros of polynomial, sum of the zeros, and this is the coefficient of the polynomial. Okay, so without calculating, we can find out the sum of the zeros and product of the zeros of any polynomial. So let us take a example of a polynomial. So polynomial, another polynomial basically. So if I write 2x square minus 6x plus 8 equals to 0. So if I ask to find out what is the sum of the zeros of this polynomial, you can easily find out sum of the zeros without finding any zeros. Okay, so formula is what? Minus of coefficient of x. So minus of coefficient of x is what? Minus 6 by coefficient of x square, that means 2. So minus minus plus, and 2 3s are 6. So this is plus 3. And if I ask to find out product of the zeros, we can write product of zeros equals to, this is the formula, constant term, what is constant term? 8, and what the coefficient of x square means 2. So 2 4 ja 8. So 4 is the product of zeros. Here we find out sum of the zeros and product of the zeros without finding any zeros of the polynomial. Okay, so and this is the relationship between zeros of polynomial and product of the coefficient of the polynomial. Now, if I summarize the topic, we can write. So let us assume that a standard quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0, and its roots are, suppose, alpha and beta. So sum of the zeros means alpha plus beta. We can write the coefficient minus of coefficient of x, that means b, and coefficient of x square, that means a. And product of the zeros, you can write alpha into beta equals to constant term, that means c, by coefficient of x square, that means a. So alpha into beta equals to minus a b by a, and alpha plus beta equals to minus b by a, and alpha into beta equals to c by a. This is the summarized form of the relationship between zeros of polynomial and coefficient of zeros in case of quadratic equation. Now let us discuss questions related to this topic. So the question is that find the zeros of the polynomial x square minus 3 and verify the relationship between the zeros and the coefficient. So this is the polynomial x square minus 3, and we have to find out the zeros of the polynomial and the relationship and the coefficient of the polynomial. So first we have to factorize. We have to find out these. We have to find out the zeros of this polynomial. So x square minus 3. So x square remains same, and 3 you can write root 3 whole square. So that becomes a square minus b square formula. So that is x plus root 3 into x minus root 3. A plus b into a minus b formula. Okay. A square minus b square is equals to a plus b into a minus b. Okay. So now the roots are what? Minus root 3 and plus root 3. So let us find out sum of the zeros. Sum of the zeros. Sum of zeros is equals to minus root 3 plus root 3, and that means 0. Okay. So 0 we can write it. 0 we can write it minus 0 by 1. So minus 0 means what? Here the x term is absent. That is why 0 here coefficient of x. So coefficient of x divided by 1 is what? Coefficient of x square. So coefficient of x square. Okay. Next, find out product of the zeros. Product of zeros equals to minus root 3 into plus root 3. So that means it is becomes 3, and 3 we can write 3 by 1. So 3 is what? Coefficient of, this is constant term. Okay. So we can, so this is minus. Okay. So minus will come. So constant term by coefficient of x square. Okay. So sum of the zeros is equals to 0 by minus 0 by 1, that is equals to coefficient of x and coefficient of x square, and product of the zeros is equals to minus 3 by 1, that is what? Constant term by coefficient of x square. And this is the required solution of this question. So in this video we discuss the theory portion of this topic and some of these topics, and then in the next video we will discuss exercise 2.1 question number 1, and then in the next video we will discuss question number 2 from exercise 2.2. Okay, so let's end the video, and if you like the video, please subscribe my channel and comment and like my channel. Thank you.